All right, we are back with another episode of 90s Noise. I'm April, born 1991.
And I'm Ashley, born 1988. So we just want to thank everyone for listening to our episode. And we want to remind everyone that we do have a Patreon account that you can find a link to either in our show notes for each episode, or you can find the link to it on our Instagram, which is 90s Noise. And we have a great deal for $3 a month. You have access to all of our videos of all of our episodes, all of the exclusive interviews that we do with all of our guests. You also will have access to a couple of fun bonus episodes each month, either related to a past episode or just something random that we decided to do. So we would love it if you would go on and support us and check that out. Also remember to follow us on Instagram, and of course leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast, whatever platform that is. Leave us a review. We would love to hear from you. We really do appreciate all of your support, and we will definitely shout out any reviews that we get.
Don't be afraid. Send us some messages on Instagram. We love talking to people and hearing feedback. And yeah, we would love to hear from you. Once upon a midnight dreary,
as we ponder weak and weary,
only one thought came to our minds.
We have to start in on Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Any of their features.
You're invited.
Adventures of.
And their movies galore.
So sit back and enjoy the ride.
Because if it's up to me.
Or me, you'll RSVP. First round of officially Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we did talk about them in Full House, but this is their own official.
Yeah, this is our first time touching base on anything that was just purely them. We just watched Double Toil and Trouble, and thought it very appropriate for October and Halloween.
Isn't it their 30th anniversary too?
It's the 30th anniversary at the end of October, yes, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
That just thinking about that is insane.
Now, do you remember watching this movie a lot as a kid?
So I remember watching it during Halloween because it would play on TV, because it was a TV movie.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when we're watching it, there was the transitions that you mentioned and everything, because that was for commercials.
Yeah.
But the thing I remember probably the most is actually we had recorded it when it had been on TV. We hadn't bought it. We recorded it.
Yeah.
And so I remember pulling our little VHS holder of recorded stuff and it written in pencil. You could barely read it. Double Toil and Trouble on the little sticky things that you could get with those. So that was a big thing that I remember about when I think of this movie in general.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I don't really know how much I would have watched this movie growing up. Because I actually rewatched this a little bit more recently. And I know when I had watched it, there was a lot about it that I was lost. I don't remember a lot of the parts to it. So, I mean, I remember it obviously this time around, but that's why I'm almost wondering if this was a movie that I only saw bits and pieces of. Like if it was playing on TV at one part, I would have just caught it at the end or somewhere in the middle. But the movie as a whole, it's still very new to me. Like all the little nuances and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I know the movie, but I don't know it.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I think for me, I didn't watch it as much as I watched some of their other stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was personally recorded. It wasn't their actual thing.
Plus, I feel like it's always harder with holiday type movies.
Yeah,
you don't want to pop it on in February. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's
no, I'm not one of those that if it's a holiday movie, it's close to the holiday and not any other time.
Yeah, pretty much.
unless I'm just really feeling like nostalgic and stuff. But I think it's cute. It's cute now.
It's so cute. Yeah.
But when I was growing up, it scared me.
I was gonna say it is a little bit creepy. Like it's actually a little darker than I would have imagined it to be for kids. I mean, they were what?
They're 6.
So I mean, yeah, you're talking about a very young group of kids watching this, and and I feel like a lot of it would have went over people's heads, or kids' heads, I should say. A lot of that was not clear.
I do think a lot of their younger movies, especially, had that aspect in it because they wanted to also make sure that the adults were like didn't get too bored in a sense. I think especially with their 2 main TV movies, Double Double and Grandmother's House, and even It Takes Two, I feel there was different parts in it that were more geared towards the adults.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of adult scenes that they weren't a part of, so they were trying to develop other storylines around them. You didn't mention How the West Was fun.
How the West was, oh my gosh, for some reason I always forget about that one. I
feel like that one is not today, but I feel like that's the one I remember most out of their 3 like main, like not including It Takes Two. That's awesome. But the 3 other ones.
So the three TV movies.
That's it. Yeah. That one was the one I remember the most.
That one is, I think, probably the one I've out of the 3 that I have actually seen the least.
Okay.
I think we did have it, but it just I don't know for some reason.
VHS.
For some reason, I didn't.
As an adult, I don't like it as much.
I've not seen it in probably 15 years at least, but I do always forget about that one.
They knocked that out. Was it I think the same?
Was that
92 or 93? I feel like it was the same within the same year span of this one, Grandma. And
his grandma's was 92.
Okay. Yeah, they were a little bit younger. And I feel like
it was How the West Was Fun.
Yeah, I feel like that was
94.
Okay, so it was after this. Okay.
So they kind of did that in general, where it was each year they
would do something. Yeah.
And they kept up with that until,
which is crazy to think about, like that.
Yeah. Until
you're expected every year to have something new.
Until they were 18. New York Minute was the last one.
And no wonder they were so burned out.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I couldn't even, going from working extensive hours as a child, as a baby in Full House, and then jumping into these, they did these while Full House was still going.
Yes, it was still going.
And so probably like how Candace and Jody and them were talking about, they'd film for 8 months and then have 3 months off. Those 3 months off they were spent doing this.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with the cast. They had to film movies, and they had to go to cruises
and their You're Invited and adventures, because those were also going on at these times too. And I do not blame them for the route that they have since gone on, which major congratulations to Ashley, who is a mom. She is a mom.
Yeah,
she is a mom.
It's just crazy to think about. Like, it's weird.
It is. It's very weird, but it's awesome that she's starting a family, and just to see how big their empire still is. Even if it's not dual star anymore, it is now their fashion line. Kind of just a quick rundown for anybody who's never seen Double Double, Toil and Trouble, or hasn't seen it in a long time. It's about 2 young sisters, twins, Halloween time, families going through a rough patch. Parents go to ask an aunt for help. And the aunt
that didn't go well.
like crazy. She's a witch, like literal, like magic.
It's still a weird family dynamic though. Like you would go to someone who you haven't really talked to in 7 years and like seems to have pushed you out of the family and be like, oh, we need money. Like we're gonna like I know they were desperate, but
I think that was part of it is that desperation.
Yeah.
Like you go through a
It
list.
showed the family that they were desperate and they were like,
I think that's what they were trying to convey is that they have no other options.
Yeah.
This isn't an option that they want to take.
Yeah.
And
it shows you kind of like the complete opposites of the sisters. Like she was so like, ha ha ha, like that's crazy. I would never give you the money. And then you had Sophia who was like, they didn't even ask. She was like, oh, you got trouble. Okay, here's the money. And I would be just like, thank you. Like that's hard to just take at that point. You know what I mean? Like obviously you're going to, but it's like, don't make this a habit.
Yeah, exactly. And major props to Cloris Leachman for
she's amazing.
Both Agatha and Sophia, and just insane, complete polar opposite characters. God,
yikes! Yeah,
that was she did Agatha great. When I think of Cloris, I think more of the Sophia side.
Oh yeah,
but the Agatha was just. She scared me.
Oh, she was scary. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
And it was
that was very well done
on
her part. I don't know where she got her inspiration from, what she researched or looked into, but like that, wow, damn, that made me really scared of like witches and the cults of whatever that was going on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was creepy. I think that scene probably was one of the scariest scenes for me as a child. That whole
I can see that.
That whole thing. And that to me was a scary movie.
I mean, as a 5-year-old,
when I was little.
It's a little creepy.
It really is. And I think my parents were even a little bit, is this what they're going towards? Like,
and honestly, it makes Hocus Pocus like tame.
It kind of does.
You know what I mean? Like this is more for a mature type audience than Hocus Pocus. Like that. Like that's wild.
Which may also explain why, because I was so obsessed and in love with watching Mary-Kate and Ashley stuff, why Hocus Pocus is kind of just black.
It could be.
Again, unpopular opinion.
Yeah. Well,
I'll get shit for it, but
that's okay.
So beside.
Yeah.
And as we were watching, I know I said it a couple of times, Ashley's character was a completely different side than what you really see her in most of the other work.
Yeah, I agree. It was a different role for her. And I wonder if like she didn't want to play this type anymore, and that's why they switched it up. But I don't know.
I almost wonder.
She had those really good callbacks. Like she was on it.
Did not just that, but I wonder if it was because honestly, she was more the star of this than Mary-Kate.
Yeah, that's true. If you kind of look at it, if you break it apart like that,
if you look at more screen time and everything,
I do feel like she was in it slightly a bit more.
So I wonder, and it's been so long since I've watched Grandma's House. If number one, if they had if Mary-Kate was kind of pushed that one forward, but just from hearing all of the interviews with Full House people, Mary-Kate was kind of the go-to baby actress for Michelle.
Yeah.
And so maybe this was kind of
a way to separate them a little bit, or just allow Ashley to have a little bit
more screen time in a sense, and more prominent screen time.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being pushed aside.
And I mean, she does a great job.
I love both of them.
Obviously, I'm always an Ashley fan and always have loved her, but I did like her in this role. Like I liked this side of her.
The
I
Spitfire,
really liked that. I was like, okay,
like
more of this.
it was one of those where just because of like the persona that was created for each of them, it was something that looking back on now, you would have expected that to have been Mary-Kate.
Right.
Because just her persona.
Yeah, they always made her to be the more of the outspoken one, or like the tomboy or whatever. Like, and Ashley was more composed, put together. Like she wouldn't like step out of line, so to speak. Like that. Yeah, that's why that was really unexpected.
Definitely. But it was great. And even again, them being so young.
Not bad, honestly, for that age. Like, yeah, there's some parts where you can tell they broke, but they're 7. Like they're babies.
It's common for that.
Yeah.
And I honestly do think this is probably one of their better younger work.
Yeah. I would have to agree. I mean, I feel like I want to still circle back around after we watch a couple of the other ones, but
yeah. But
we're going 1 against 1 right now, so we're kind of
just from what we know in general from our
I wouldn't say Grandma was good at all as far as acting. And How the West, it's I always thought that one was cheesy as fuck. So
I feel like that one was almost more trying to. Oh no, you know what that one was? They did, I think, 3 different sets of like movie filming at that ranch or whatever it was. How the West. They then had, I think, You're Invited and an adventure.
Yeah,
that was all
Western
based
ranch
in that, and you could tell just by
that's
their hair and how and their teeth too, because they're young, teeth coming in, losing teeth, all those kinds of things. I definitely do have to say this is one that was more enjoyable, and it's still enjoyable as an adult.
Yeah, I was just thinking like it's cheesy in parts, but it wasn't one of those cringy like, okay, I got an hour and a half to sit through this type thing. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt that we enjoy watching them regardless of what they're in, basically. So that helps. But I mean, I really enjoyed Cloris in this. I thought the mom and dad were great. I mean, you have Eric McCormick playing the dad from Will and Grace, which is wild to see him in this earlier role.
Yeah, this was before that.
Yeah. So there were a lot of great actors in this movie, which
definitely
for a small, I don't know how small it really was, made for TV type movie, like to pull some of those, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there was that little girl.
Oh yeah, at the party. She didn't say anything, did she? But she was in a Full House episodes a lot.
She was the friend. Okay,
that's probably why they pulled her for the movie, because she would have been her like kindergarten friend or whatever.
That's
Michelle.
right.
Yeah, I remember her. She was super cute. I forgot her name. I don't know if she's really done much since then though, because I always liked her character.
She was a spunky character.
She was. She played the spunky. Yes.
Let's see if we can find that real.
God, I've had her. I mean, but she didn't have a line, so I don't even know if their name would have been in the credits. And I can't remember what her character's name was on.
We'll find her on Full House.
Full House,
because I can.
think of like First Day of Kindergarten or something, or one of those episodes.
Like, it was later in the.
Forgot whenever Michelle's going to kindergarten.
Denise. Yes, Denise.
What's her actual name though?
Journey. Yeah, that's actually really great. Forgive me in my Midwest, like.
Okay, so she's doing some stuff.
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the last name on that, but she'd been in Birds of Prey with as Black Canary. She's kept going.
And I may have seen her in something and been like, oh yeah, but then just forgotten.
Oh God. That happens
story of my. I mean, she's had a lot of guest roles on a lot of shows I watched. So
one episode here or there, kind of thing.
Yeah. They should have brought her back. It would have been kind of cool if they had brought her back for Fuller House as like Michelle's friend still, and she like pops in and like, oh yeah, and like made some sort of storyline up to be like, oh yeah, me and Michelle are like, I thought that would be cool.
That would have been, but
I know, like
I know that
everything
they kept. I think they kept anything
them related to
trying to not get into anything.
I feel like the flashback scene though always threw me off, or I should say, I've heard it's thrown a lot of people off. As far as like being confused as to, okay, now the Olsens are playing these flashback twins, and like it's a weird concept if you think about it for like a 5-year-old to understand why is it in black and white all of a sudden? Why are they now with these creepy ass haircut wig types?
Oh my gosh, those wigs were horrible.
Of all hairstyles, why did we choose the horror movie haircut for them? The whole like twins like walking down like,
well, I mean, I guess because 50 years would have been 1940s.
That what kids had walking around? Because I would have ran the other way. I'm sorry, but that's just something bad's happening.
maybe the higher class and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I know why they did it. They just try to give it
make it different.
Different from what they looked like currently. But oh boy, they didn't look too pleased.
They did not at all.
Get me out of this scene.
Yeah, that scene was definitely one that you're like you cringe with it.
Yeah, that was probably like the biggest cringe scene. And of course, I think it was Ashley.
Yeah.
Right? Who found the moonstone and she hid it.
So that's what's interesting is that I think they were trying to also parallel, and that's why they had Ashley be Agatha and Mary-Kate be Sophia.
I was trying to figure that one out too. I was like, are they trying to? Okay, yeah, that makes sense as to why she was the more outspoken. Like,
and Ashley's character was the one that didn't want to be a twin anymore, like Agatha,
right? And
wanted to.
That makes sense.
Break away.
But as a 5-year-old, you ain't putting all that together. I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, maybe there might be some really smart, not gonna doubt your 5-year-old, but no,
I will. Sorry, there's a limit to what.
Seeing as like I just saw a video the other day where some girl was like, do you realize if kids born in 2023 they're going to see the year 3000. I was just like, okay, where are we living? Because that doesn't sound...
That math is not correct in any way, shape, or form.
We are fucked.
That's a bit of an understatement, probably. So, you were always an Ashley, more of an Ashley girl.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that begin? Was it with their later movies? Was it Full House?
It wouldn't have been on Full House at all. It probably would have occurred whatever movie I ended up seeing first, which probably was It Takes Two.
Okay.
And I'm sure just me being young and simple-minded as Ashley. Oh, I'm Ashley. Okay. Like, and then, I just connected to that. Because I know like later on when I learned that Mary-Kate was more of a lefty, I was like, oh.
And more equestrian.
And I'm like, oh, but I'm like, no, I can't. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't at that point just switch. But even though I was like, dang it, she likes the horses.
Well, that's funny. I do, because we had talked about this a couple months ago when I got my new purse and everything.
Oh yeah.
Because I always emulated Mary-Kate and always wanted to be. I don't know. I think it was just because she was always more sporty. The one that appeared to be more sporty.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to emulate her, and anything she did, I anything I saw on the screen, I wanted to do, and haircuts and hair color and how bracelets were worn, how bags were worn.
Girl took it to a crazy level.
I did. That was I don't know, because I think with the you're invited and everything, which we'll get into later, you really brought them into your home.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were very influential in the way that their whole world worked. Like they made it into a thing where you felt like you were a part of what they were doing. You were being invited to these things. You were basically best friends, and all this stuff was going to happen, or at least you imagined all of that.
Of course.
I mean, like, I don't feel like I've had that same thought process or connection with anybody, maybe outside of like Hillary Duff, that I would have been that same, like, oh my God, what are they doing? What are they wearing? What are they, all that, like, how are they talking? Can I emulate that? Like,
because they entered every aspect. And I mean, that's why I still like bracelets, watches, right hand, right wrist.
Yeah.
Until recently, bags were always laying on the right shoulder and crossing to where it would lay on my left side.
Because they don't make anything for left-handers.
And it finally hit me that that it was made, like you said, the bag's made for people who are predominantly right-handed. And so those who are right-handed would have it on the left shoulder, crossing that way, so that it's easy to reach with their right hand. And so I'm still trying to get used to that. And I've had this bag since April.
It is hard to change how you carry and do something when you've done it for so many years.
Yeah.
Like, that's not an easy habit to break.
It really
so
is.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. The whole wristbands and everything on my right wrist, that ain't changing.
Oh yeah. No.
That is not changing. It's
the effect they had on us.
The clothes. Did you ever get any of their Walmart clothes?
I don't think I ever had anything from their Walmart line because it was just not available in our local Walmart, to the extent of where when you would go in, it would be something that you would want or the size that you would need. Like, it just was never ever available.
I could not, because it was later on in early 2000s or so. It was Our Lips Are Sealed was right after. I think it was Our Lips Are Sealed and Holiday in the Sun time.
When it came out. I got a top from them. I don't even know what anything looks like at this point.
Yeah.
That'd be the only thing that I could think of, but I don't know if I actually did.
I would get, I think, like accessories, because I
even got those.
I just could never. It was always for a lot smaller, and I was taller.
Yeah.
And I matured a lot earlier than most.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of their clothes, that even though they advertised as it being for more of a wider range of kids and teens, it always seemed like the only clothes available were for like young kids. And I'm like, what about your larger audience? Which
exactly,
you would have thought they would have been the same age, like, or a little bit old, a couple years older than you and I. So they still would have been making clothes to fit us, but yet that was never available. Like, I mean,
I don't know if maybe it was also just because of, at the time, their size, because they're, which we've learned this weekend,
sizing is all.
You can't see somebody on screen and have any idea of how tall they are.
Yeah.
Because casting directors will get people that are the same height to make everybody look the same.
I mean, now we have Google and we can Google people's heights. I do that sometimes. Like when I'm watching a movie, how tall is it? But in the 90s, that wasn't something that you would have ever thought of. So everyone you saw, you just thought they were your height, or they were all the same height. And like you would meet them in person and like, oh, okay. But then at least for me, like, everyone's down there, and I'm just like, oh my God, do I look this ridiculous around everyone? Because everyone is so tiny. Everyone is so tiny. Everyone in 9 to Tuna, that's a whole other topic. I'm gonna get
we'll get into that with
Full House. I didn't really meet most from Full House, but they all seem tiny.
Well, yeah, Jody she was sitting, but she still.
I think even when all three of the girls stood together, they were all the same height.
Yeah. But I mean, props to them for the casting directors and everything for
Well, that
being able
is
to do that.
something big that they look at. Like I
Yeah.
have done research and read articles that they are very adamant about trying to cast people that are the same height because it works and it looks better on screen and it just
And also probably for camera angles.
exactly you
and
don't have to
everything.
constantly be because I know they've had some movies I read where like someone would have to be on an Apple box because of the huge height difference and then it's false because like false advertising because you would be watching something and you're like but in real life the actress is like probably Mary-Kate and Ashley are a good example.
Well, not just that, Lord of the Rings, perfect example. I mean, the characters are supposed to be smaller and everything, so they would have to do where the regular size person is closer to the camera, and so those shorter the person who's supposed to be shorter is first perspective, and you can't
just like the house that they were like they don't get bigger. We just keep walking, it'll get bigger.
Yeah,
that was great.
Which this movie did also have a lot of good themes.
Yeah, they did.
That was one thing I did enjoy because sometimes their stuff is just more fun. Teeny bopper.
Yeah.
But this one actually had really good themes.
Yeah,
to go
I
along
agree.
with it. Like money isn't everything. It doesn't matter how big or tall, how small or tall you are. Be brave. Like face your fears.
Face your fears. There's like a sibling thing in there. I can't put the words around what they were trying to go for, but don't shit on your twin. It's basically because that's a very powerful relationship. So
yeah,
hold on to that.
Definitely.
Overall, I really liked that movie. That was cute. That's a perfect kickoff for our Halloween month.
Absolutely.
And our Mary-Kate and Ashley adventure that will be coming.
It's going
to be
sporadically
when we feel it fits, I guess.
Because there's so much to touch on.
Yeah.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. We will not make it a Mary-Kate and Ashley podcast, but
no, there's a few out there, which props to them, but ours is they were a huge part of the 90s for both of us.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as in-depth or anything. It'll just be episodes here and there.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Did they say something at the end of their adventure or You're Invited movies?
Not that they were.
They don't say anything, do they?
No, it was always like the Avengers was we'll solve any crime by dinner time.
Yes.
But that was always towards the beginning when they answered their phones. Olsen Mystery Agency will solve any crime by dinner time.